Welcome everybody to the Short Sports Show. I am your host, Daniel Short. Today is Saturday, March 14th, and I'm sorry for the break. And real quick, let me explain what happened. So last week I was supposed to take my visit to TCU as I'm making my college decision pretty soon. Haven't decided where. And of course, the night before, come down with a little cold. It knocked me out, and I did not want to have my first real actual visit to TCU where I'm actually paying attention to what the university is like other than seeing the sights and sounds and whatnot. I didn't want to feel horrible. I didn't want to feel bad while on the stuff and all the other good stuff. So anyways, I didn't go, and I just felt bad, so I didn't do the show either. So we are back again. Every Saturday we are doing the show, and let us get started with a couple college football news, just two things going on. And then the NFL free agency. I know it seems like we've missed a lot, but we're about to recap it all back so we catch up brand new. And, so many things to talk about. I'm so excited for the show. So let's get started. But first, follow me on Twitter at short_sports247. Links are in the description below to my YouTube channel, Facebook page where you can become a fan. Just give it a like while you are there. If you're listening on iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spreaker.com, whichever it may be sure to give it a like and share it while the show's going on. And share it on Twitter right now. Let them know that you're listening to the show. Tag me in it and all the other good stuff. You get a little retweet right afterwards and a favor. So let's get it started with Washington quarterback Siler Miles has chosen not to participate in the Huskies spring practices this year. Head coach Chris Peterson said, quote, Siler is dealing with some things in his life that are more important than football, and he felt like it was important to take some time away from the game. We are working to support him in any way we can and hope he returns back to the football field soon. Miles will remain enrolled at the university. The Huskies have three other quarterbacks enrolled for the spring season. That's Jeff Lindquist, KJ Carter-Samuels, and Jake Browning. Lindquist has the most experience as a starter for the Huskies as he started for the season opener when Siler Miles was suspended in that game, where he completed 10 of 26 passes for 162 yards, one touchdown, and the Huskies win over on the road in Hawaii 17-16. Carter Samuels redshirted in 2014, but did make several trips, in the road game, so he was able to be around the team as much as possible. Browning is an early enrollee who's rated as ESPN.com's number 5 pocket passer in the 2015 class, and former quarterback Troy Williams, who spent last spring competing with Lundquist while Miles' absence, transferred from Washington in January. So that leaves those three quarterbacks, and I'm interested in seeing KJ Carter-Samuels, what he will do with that team, that dual threat type quarterback, and depending on what Siler Miles does. Really haven't discussed anything about missing any playing time. Of course, the season's a few months away, of course, so we'll have to see. But it's a good time for these three quarterbacks to really get everything in motion, full swing, and take advantage of this time to play with the number ones. I'm sure Chris Peterson isn't a dumb coach. He's going to have all three quarterbacks rotating with first string to see what it's like, especially, you got Jake Browning, early enrollee, going to see what he's like as he was highly rated coming out of high school. So, and then Jeff Lindquist, being the guy that's been there the longest. So, see how he will compete and how he can get better, because he finished off the year 10 of 30. Not really good. Not very impressive, especially over a Hawaii squad that, really Washington probably should have beat up on. Moving on, Mississippi State wide receiver, all right, stay with me here, DeRunyon Wilson, I hope I said it right, and three others have been arrested on drug charges in South Alabama. County jail officer, we don't care for the name, said Saturday Wilson and the others are charged with marijuana possession in second degree and possession of drug paraphernalia. Wilson was the Bulldogs' leading receiver in 2014. So maybe a suspension, a game, or I don't know, just probably really nothing. But here we go. NFL news is what we want to get on first. We'll do some recent things that have happened in the past 2 days, as of today, early this morning, and yesterday. And then we'll get into what's happened in the past. Some big blockbuster moves, including with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Seattle Seahawks, and New Orleans Saints. We're going to talk about that. We'll go more in depth on that. But first, let's just hit some of that news first, and then we'll go back to it and really get all of it together. So here we go. The Browns announced Friday, which is yesterday, that they have re-signed defensive end John Hughes to a contract extension. Hughes' contract is a 4-year, $14.4 million deal with $12.8 million in base salary and $3.56 million guaranteed, according to a source. John Hughes missed 11 games last year with the injured MCL, but has been a productive rotational lineman for the Browns while recording 68 tackles and 4 sacks in 2012 and 2013. So they really, if you go look at the Browns, defense, especially that defensive line, they have some big guys out there that can play and really make an impact with this team. Their linebackers are a little bit old. They'll have to address that in the draft, hopefully some point. But this defensive line, they have a lot of guys that can rotate from that defensive tackle to defensive end and really put pressure on the offensive lines. So I like this signing for the Browns. I believe it's a smart move. Not like a huge contract. Again, it's 4 years, $14.4 million. They didn't overspend on John Hughes, which is really good. They didn't spend, it wasn't a 4-year, $34 million, which then gets really questionable. The cap hit with the base salary of 12.8, it's okay. Nothing too bad, but John Hughes could make an impact. Really could. Had 17 tackles last season before getting injured early in the year. So, he could easily make an impact with this Bills defense, especially what they do now that Justin Gilbert, a year more into the league now, might get something. So good signing, re-signing for the Browns. The Saints have signed former Buffalo Bills running back C.J. Spiller and also traded wide receiver Kenny Stills to the Miami Dolphins for linebacker Daniel. Is it Daniel? I swear I thought it was Darnell. Daniel Ellerbe and a third-round pick, and released backup cornerback Corey White. C.J. Spiller's deal is $18 million over 4 years with $9 million guaranteed and $5 million signing bonus. Now, the biggest surprise of this, the C.J. Spiller thing was kind of rumored a day before the signing, and it seemed like a good fit for them. I don't know how Mark Ingram's going to deal with it, knowing that, hey, you just signed a 4-year deal, and now they got a guy that you're going to have to split time with, like another Darren Sproles type role. Could be a good thing, save his legs a little bit, but I'm sure Mark Ingram was looking for that number one clear running back role, but we'll just have to see how they play that out. But the biggest surprise was the Kenny Stills trade. Because one, he's young. He's very productive in the time he's been there. And just like that, bam, out. And you really think, they would keep their wide receiving core, as Drew Brees loves to throw the ball, of course. So why trade away one of his weapons for a linebacker and a third-round pick? I know this wide receiving draft, I don't know if it has depth to an extent, but I really think you got a handful of wide receivers that can really make an impact immediately, and then after that you have guys that you're going to have to – it's going to take 2 to 3 years for them to actually get adjusted to the game. So – and that's hitting that third-round spot. So do you really – why make this trade, especially when you just lost, Jimmy Graham, you just traded him away. Why lose another weapon? I don't know. Kenny Stills, and check out these stats. Kenny Stills, again, only 22 years old. Caught 63 passes for 931 yards and 3 touchdowns last year. And most of that came late because Brandon Cooks, a rookie, had that thumb injury. So Kenny Stills stepped up. And, just think of that. 63 passes, 931 yards. Not a whole lot of touchdowns, but very productive moving down the field. Very productive. And just like that, boom, gone. Huge pickup for the Dolphins, by the way. He's 6 foot, 194. He was a 5th-round draft pick coming out of Oklahoma, but Oklahoma really has some good wide receivers that just no one really talks about. So, they got him as a steal, but, you might not get that again. But check this out. His rookie year, finished the year 32 catches, 641 yards, and an NFL best, not rookie best, NFL overall out of every single wide receiver in the NFL right now, including Calvin Johnson, including Dez Bryant. Kenny Stills finished with the NFL best of 20 yards per catch and had 5 touchdowns. Bam. Just like that, you traded him away. Dolphins, one heck of a deal. You can get plenty of defensive linebackers, defensive linemen that can move out to the linebacker position. You can get tons of them in the draft, and including free agency afterwards, that can really make an impact for your team. So trading that away in a 3rd rounder, you got to steal in Kenny Stills. Honestly, that's the best pickup for the Dolphins right there. Huge pickup right there. And now, of course, the Saints, they are the question mark team right now in what they're doing. You've now traded away 2 of its top receiving targets, including Jimmy Graham, which was one of the biggest shockers in free agency so far, to the Seattle Seahawks. Congratulations to the Seahawks, by the way. Wow. For a center who got injured half the year from the Seahawks, I don't know. So this is what the Saints have done so far. Did a little bit of research here. They've added 4 players this offseason, and we'll talk about how much they gave away. They've got C.J. Spiller. I'm still a little questionable on him, injury prone, but again, very solid player, can be very productive both running the ball and catching out the backfield, which is going to be probably his number one priority there. You got C.J. Spiller. You got Ellerbe at linebacker, going to help you at the linebacker spot. Ellerbe is a very good linebacker. You got Brandon Browner. Somewhat good coverage person, but don't get pissed off when he gets flags, because he was the number 1 cornerback that got flags on the Patriots team out of all of them. So it's a good and a bad thing, because he's going to be able to lock down majority of those NFC South receivers, because they're not that good, other than you got Julio Jones at center, and you also got center Max Unger, who got hurt, but when he's not hurt, he's more than a Pro Bowler, which he hasn't got a vote because that's popular vote, but is a Pro Bowl type center. Solid. But you've now given away Jimmy Graham, Kenny Stills, guard Ben Grubbs, and you released linebacker Curtis Lofton and running back Pierre Thomas. I don't care about Pierre Thomas. You can get him away, get someone else. Ben Grubbs, solid guy right there. Solid guy. Curtis Lofton played every game for you. Yes, he's old. I would have kept him for a little while, just a little while longer. See if he could take a pay cut. But Kenny Stills, Jimmy Graham, and Ben Grubbs doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense to me at all. If I was Drew Brees, I'd be pissed. I'd be very pissed off right now. The Tennessee Titans made some good news, adding linebacker depth. Adding to the depth chart there. Reaching agreement with contracts with outside linebackers Brian Orakpo and re-signing Derek Morgan. Orakpo is, of course, spent his first 6 seasons with the Washington Redskins. Will make about $8 million annually. His overall deal is a 4-year, $32 million deal that could max out to $35 million with incentives and includes a $13.5 million guaranteed. Morgan will get a 4-year deal worth $30 million, which is not bad for him, as he was drafted out of Georgia Tech in the first round with the 16th overall by the Titans in 2010, but has really been up and down, and more of down, as he's trying to find a defensive scheme that has worked for him, but should really benefit with Orakpo on the opposite side of him, and even if you put him on the same side, if you depending on what the offense they're playing against, you could get a good amount of sacks right there. So I like these signings by the Titans, improving that defense. Good job there. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed free agent running back D'Angelo Williams, who was cut by the Carolina Panthers. solid pickup right there. I believe he can still be effective. Very shocked the Panthers let him go.